The Russian war criminals received a karmic experience in Shuya and Kursk. Kremlin prepares for a new offensive. Trump refuses to sell Ukraine weaponry. Putin tells Israeli hostages to thank Hamas. And some more Russian cringe to help you keep your facial muscles in good shape, my friends. Let's talk about all this right now. You know, I've met quite a few skeptics out there who say that Russian war criminals cannot be punished. Well, I've got some news for you. The Russian terrorists from 448th and 112th missile brigades will strongly disagree. What do we know about those brigades? We know that they were involved in striking Sumy downtown on Palm Sunday, the day when faithful Christians go out with their families and gather in large groups, making them perfect targets for the Russian terrorist attacks. Both Russian units were hit really hard. The 112th Russian brigade in the town of Shuya was hit twice. The Russian terrorists that were taken to hospital probably asked themselves, how come Ukraine reached their asses 1,000 kilometers away from Kyiv, and why didn't Russian air defense save them? The answer is simple. The Russian air defense only protects Russian oil refineries as well as Russian air bases and Putin's palace. Since the terrorist federation is so huge, it's really hard to cover each Russian object. One of those moments when you realize that you have annexed so much territory, so now you literally cannot hold it. But the point is, the war criminals can and should be punished, proved by Ukraine. What to expect from the Russian invaders this year? At this point, the main Russian offensives take place around Pokrovsk, Kupiansk, Kurakhove and Liman. According to Ukrainian intelligence, the terrorists also plan to invade Sumy Oblast this summer. At the same time, they try to distract our attention in the area of Zaporizhia, Vovchansk, Liptsy. Also, Russian terrorists harass Ukrainian defenders using recon teams in Chernihiv and attacking civilians in Kherson. We observe growing number of strikes in this area. It's a well-known fact that Russians want to achieve success around Liman and reach Izium. I can also say that they will fail because their plans are not a surprise, neither for us nor for Ukrainian command. We also have information that the Russian invaders are planning a possible offensive in Chernihiv Oblast this summer, realizing that the terrorist federation doesn't have much time, maybe about a year before its financial and military capabilities reach their critical point in 2026. What do we know at this point about the Russian offensive capabilities? We know that Russia relies heavily on North Korean shells. Reuters reported that some of the Russian military units completely depend on the North Korean munitions. This allows Russia invest more into production of drones and long-range missiles. Can Russia accumulate enough vehicles to perform the summer offensive? This seems plausible, however, it may become some of the last big Russian offensive operations, considering that the Russian stockpile of vehicles and artillery is depleting dramatically. The other thing that would allow Putin to continue his advance is if something or someone stopped the military aid to Ukraine. The only person who has political leverage to do so is Putin's big friend Donald Trump, who can use different measures like tariff policies to pressure European countries to decrease or fully stop defense aid to Ukraine. And speaking of Trump, the rare minerals deal has been rejected by the US president several times because Ukraine asked security guarantees and defense weaponry in exchange for its rare minerals, which Trump, of course, found unacceptable. And most recently, according to Bild, Trump rejected $50 billion offered by Ukraine in exchange for the American weaponry. It's a clear indication that Trump is not going to sell Ukraine weapons, even though it's clearly beneficial to the United States. At this point, the goals of Putin and Trump are completely aligned, my friends. They both don't want Ukraine to be able to defend itself. The internationally wanted war criminal Putin met Russian hostages captured by Hamas on 7th of October 2023 and released recently. During his speech, he offered them to be grateful to Hamas for remarkable humanity and generosity demonstrated by the terrorists.
То, что удалось оказаться на свободе, это результат того, что в России стабильные многолетние отношения с палестинским народом, с его представителями, самыми разными организациями. И думаю, нужно выразить слова благодарности руководству, политическому руководству ХАМАС за то, что они пошли нам навстречу и совершили вот этот акт, гуманитарный акт, вас освободили. Я вас как раз с этим и хочу поздравить.
The humane and merciful Hamas terrorists not only captured Alexander Trufanov and his family and kept him almost 500 days in prison, they also generously shot his both legs and killed his father. However, if you live in Russia, you should obey the rules. You must respect Hamas, Taliban, Ayatollah Khamenei, Kim Jong-un. Also, don't speak too much. And with that, let me announce your favorite segment of this video, the almighty Russian cringe. And now, if you have entomophobia, you better watch out, because this shit literally came straight out of your nightmares. This unholy creature from hell is actually a Russian attempt of making an art installation dedicated to labor-loving bee. But instead of making a bee, the Russians ended up portraying something much more related to themselves, a shitty fly. This fuckery has been installed on the railway station in the Russian town of Ishim to bring joy to the citizens and visitors of this amazing place, wherever it is. And with that, my dear friends and family, I wish you all a beautiful day. I'll see you in the commentaries. I'm Operator Starsky. As always, be safe.